Part 4 of The Day My Life Changed Forever, September 28th, 1981. So back to the service. Like I said, I just wanted to run. I wanted to run away from everything. But I needed to go be there next to Brian. But after that service, my family never spoke about it again. We never talked about it. It was as if the pregnancy never happened. I was expected to just move on and act like nothing happened, like it just wiped all away on that day and that moment of my time. It was buried so deep inside me. I carried that silence for decades, you guys, like decades. Brian and I eventually went our separate ways, and life moved on for everyone else. It seemed like my son never existed, but he did exist. He was born. It wasn't until about 10 years ago when Brian reached out to me on social media. I finally found myself allowing myself to grieve. Brian and I talked about it. He always shared our son with his family. Everybody knew about it, but I didn't. It was just inside my heart forever, I felt like. We talked, and for the first time I cried. And when I came back to town, because at the time I was living in a different state, I drove to the grave and I found out exactly where he was buried at. I kind of knew the area, but there was a lady there and she gave me the number, and I went over and I stood there for a very long time, and just memories just kept flooding into my mind at that day. A few times Brian and I would talk, and I would tell him, I'm so sorry that you never got to see him. I'm sorry that I never held him, that you never held him, that we never got to look into his eyes. The pain, the shame, and the guilt lingered. It still lingers on. I do go to counseling for processing this loss and this trauma. I'm going to go to part 5. Sorry about that, guys. I can't get it all together, okay? So part 5 is coming.